Aiko! It's me, Aiko, and today we're taking a look at the new kids on the block of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. These creepy crawlies have a lot of things they can do that other decks can't, including search one of the most broken cards in the game, Maxx. That's right, it's Beetroopers. Don't worry, because I almost certainly have one of the best Beetrooper brews to show you for this game. Now, let's take a look at the build. Now, if you didn't already know, Beetrooper are a deck who aims to swarm the field through utilizing insect types that, well, swarm and get bigger and bigger. They can do a ton of damage in one turn through utilizing their powerful monsters, and some of their most powerful ones are unable to be brought down by any conventional means. It's called Invincible Atlas for a reason. However, the deck does also play a few other cards that, they may seem weird at first, but when I explain them, I'm sure you'll be able to understand. This deck, or a deck very similar to it, even came second at a TCG YCS, and that was without their strongest play, the ability to search from their deck Maxx. Now let's sit back, relax, and do a rundown of the cards. First off, we have 3 copies of Battle Wasp Pin the Bullseye. Pin the Bullseye is an insect type that allows itself to special summon from the deck and inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each Pin the Bullseye you control. It's generally considered pretty strong in the TCG because of time rules, but in Master Duel time rules don't exist, so that doesn't necessarily matter. But as an insect extender, it's generally pretty good since you can just summon it from your hand if you control an insect. Next up is 3 copies of Maxx. You can actually search this card in this deck very, very consistently. It's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. 3 copies of Battle Wasp Sting the Poison. Sting the Poison can search any Battle Wasp from your deck to your hand on normal or special summon, including Pin the Bullseye, so Sting the Poison on its own is a pretty decent combo. And you can also tribute another insect-type monster to target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn. This is actually pretty useful because if you do have Sting the Poison and some other extenders in your hand, you can use Sting the Poison to search Pin the Bullseye, and then special summon Pin the Bullseye against Floowandereeze in particular, and then Sting the Poison can negate the effect of their barrier statue, which is very useful. Although they'll still be able to activate their field spell, if they have it up. But, they usually have it up. Next up, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is just generally a good card. Stopping any card that adds from deck to hand, specials from deck, or sends from deck to graveyard is really good. 1 copy of Yakumo. If it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a level 4 insect monster from your deck to your hand. Then, if you added a normal monster, you can special summon it. Then, you can destroy 1 monster in the field with attack greater than or equal to that special summon monsters. It's surprisingly good against Floowandereeze, I would say, because Yakumo can actually search a wind normal monster, Girochin Kutagawa, but I'm not playing it in this deck specifically because I want to do the best play this deck has possible. Searching Maxx. It can also search your better cards like Resonance Insect and Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea being the card that searches Maxx. Next up, 3 copies of Beetrooper Scale Bomber. Beetrooper Scale Bomber is just a pretty strong extender. If an insect's normal is summoned, you can special it from your hand, and when a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, you contribute an insect monster to destroy it. Kind of like Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. It's genuinely a pretty strong card, and it's also a Beetrooper name, which matters for a card we'll get into a bit later. Next up, 3 copies of Resonance Insect. Probably the best reason to play Beetrooper. It can search multiple times per turn if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, adding any level 5 or higher insect monster from your deck to your hand, including the insane Beetrooper Sting Lancer, the crazy Doomdozer, and also a Kaiju. You can play Gadala or you can play Kumungus, but Gadala is better in my opinion because it tributes over to special summon itself over the top of the wind barrier statue. Resonance's second effect also is very good as well. So, if it's banished, you can send an insect monster from your deck to the graveyard except Resonance Insect. This includes Pole. So you banish Resonance Insect after you search Doomdozer off of Doomdozer. Then Resonance Insect sends Pole, which searches another 4-star insect, which could be Retaliating Sea, or it could be another copy of Resonance Insect, or even Battle Wasp Arbalest the Rapid Fire. Next up, 3 copies of Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea is a very good card. When an opponent activates a spell card that includes an affected special summoner monsters, you can special summon it, and if it's summoned this way, while it's face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Which is kind of ridiculous because it means a lot of the things that, Rite of Aramessia, Temmie stuff, all sorts of stuff like that try and do, they can't really do it. Then, if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add an Earth Insect with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, except Retaliating Sea itself. Which is just kind of insane, because it searches Maxx or Resonance Insect, whichever you choose. And it is also not a hard once per turn. Next up, we have a copy of Destiny Hero Celestial. This is for Destiny Fusion, which we'll get into a bit later, but anyway. Battle Wasp Arbalest the Rapid Fire. Arbalest is a normal summon revive, so it's basically very close to Blackwing, Blizzard the Blue Flame. No, not Blizzard the Blue Flame. Blizzard the Far North, because it revives a level 3 or lower insect monster as opposed to a level 4 or lower Blackwing. And if it's destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon a Battle Wasp from your hand or deck. That sometimes comes up because you can crash it into an opponent's monster to summon Sting, which then searches Pin, which you can then special summon, which is kind of crazy. Next up, Beetrooper Assault Roller. Another Beetrooper name, you can summon it by banishing an insect, but you can only summon it once per turn this way. It gains 200 attack for each insect you control itself, and when it's destroyed by battle, you can add a Beetrooper from your deck to your hand except itself. It's genuinely a pretty strong card because Assault Roller is one of the top cards in the game. I am not joking here. Next up, well actually, it isn't one of the top cards in the game, but it definitely replaces some cards that Beetrooper played earlier. Next up, Destiny Hero Dasher. Again for Fusion Destiny. 2 copies of Beetrooper Stinglancer. Beetrooper Stinglancer is the closest thing you have to DD Crow. It's very good against particular versions of the Adventurer deck because you can target a Rite of Aramessia Searcher Aqua Enchantress and put it and your Maxx on the bottom of the deck. And if you activate Maxx and draw into this, you can just put Maxx back. You're allowed to use Maxx multiple times per game with this deck. This deck is ridiculous. Doomdozer. It must be special summoned by banishing 2 insect monsters from your graveyard, and if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you send the top card of their deck to the graveyard. The second effect matters a lot less than the first effect, but the first effect means that it's generally a pretty good extender, and it can trigger your Resonance Insect, which is very, very strong. 2 copies of Godala the Mystery Dust Kaiju. Like I said earlier, you can search it with Resonance Insect and use it to tribute over the barrier statue, or even Fluunderies with Empin. Nibiru the Primal Being. Cross out designated target. 2 copies of Fusion Destiny. Fusion Destiny is just generally a pretty good card. Its fusion summons Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which synergizes with its deck quite a bit. And you can basically activate it from hand whenever at the end of the turn. And besides, this deck also very consistently makes Predaplant Verte Anaconda, so it's very easy to go into that. Next up, Beetrooper Descent. It specials the Beetrooper token. That's basically all you need. Just a token. 3 Twin Twisters. Floowandereeze is a deck in the meta. As long as Floowandereeze is a deck in the meta of Master Duel, you should always be playing 3 Twin Twisters. Because draw phase getting rid of their field spell and their normal summon trap is very, very important. 3 copies of Crossout Designator. I don't want to lose to my opponent's Maxx, Ash Blossom, or Nibiru. Primarily Nibiru, although I can play through it. And finally, 1 copy of Beetrooper Fly and Sting. Basically, this is Solemn Strike. It's absolutely insane, and if you have an insect with 3,000 or more, you can use it multiple times per game, which is ridiculous. But you can only use 1 effect per turn, and once that turn, so you gotta make sure to save the second effect for your next turn. Next up, the extra deck. First up, Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. DPE is generally a very strong card. Destroying a card you control and a card your opponent controls as a quick effect is strong. Like, seriously. 1 Link Spider. You use this as both an extension through Nibiru and as a way to make an effect monster with Beetrooper Descent, so you can link into Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda. Next up, 2 copies of Insecta Piccofelina. Piccofelina is insane because it equips Retaliating Sea or Resonance Insect to another insect. Then you link away that insect. Then you get to search Maxx, or Beetrooper Stinglancer, or Doomdozer. Yeah. 1 copy of Crystron Halqifibrax, just pretty good, especially since you have a 1-card Halqifibrax that is generally pretty good as well. 1 copy of Shinobi Insect Hagakure Minnow. Hagakure Minnow is interesting. It's an insect that prevents itself from being attacked as long as you point to something. And if a monster it points to is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special a level 4 or lower insect from your hand or graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. It kind of synergizes with DP in that if you destroy DP while it's being pointed to by Hagakure Minnow, you can actually special summon from Grievous Sting the Poison and use Sting the Poison's effect to both search, a pin, or arbalest, and then tribute Hagakure Minnow to negate something. Kind of ridiculous. 1 Verte Anaconda. The link that summons the fusion monster. 2 copies of Beetrooper Armorhorn. This is Nightmare Goblin. It's seriously Nightmare Goblin. It locks you into insect monsters, but that doesn't matter because you can just link it away into an insect monster as well. And it's Nightmare Goblin. And it's also a special summon from Grave, if that wasn't broken enough already that it was Nightmare Goblin. Yeah. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn is just good. You can summon it if you use Sting the Poison and Pin the Bullseye. And then link into Halqifibrax. Then you link into Unicorn, shuffle something away. You could also play Jet Synchron, which I am not playing because I didn't think of it before I made the deck. But you can do that so you can make a 1-card access code talker. 2 copies of Seraphim Papillion. It places 2 counters and it can remove a counter to special summon a level 4 or lower insect from your graveyard in defense position. This, once again, includes Sting the Poison, which can search and tribute it to negate. And Scale Bomber as well. Did I mention Scale Bomber? Because Scale Bomber. Next up, 1 copy of Rastaliga. This should be Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, but, you know, I don't have enough ultra rare materials to craft it, so just imagine this is Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. 1 copy of Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is Access Code Talker. That's enough said. And 1 copy of Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas. Invincible Atlas is not truly invincible, but it's really close to it. While it has 3,000 or less attack, your opponent can't target it with card effects, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, and you can't special monsters except insects. You can also tribute an insect monster to activate 1 effect, either special summon a Beetrooper from your deck, which gets you Sting Lancer, and since Sting Lancer searches Beetrooper spells and traps, you can then search Descent or Fly and Sting, or gain 2000 attack. You generally don't want to activate the gain 2000 attack effect. That is not the best effect. But it is something that you might find yourself activating once or twice if you really need to. Now, let's take a quick look at a game. Now, this is a game against an adventurer deck. Not that it's going to be immediately obvious. However, with this deck, you'll immediately see just how kind of ridiculous the deck is. So first off, we activate Descent, and then special summon Scale Bomber with the effect. We use those to link into Armor Horn, and then Armor Horn's effect activates normal summoning Arbalest, but leaving your normal summon first. Normal Arbalest, special Scale Bomber, and then we link into a link to Insecta Piccofelina. Using Piccofelina's effect, we discard Gadala, targeting the Armor Horn and equipping a Resonance Insect from deck, then use Piccofelina's effect to shuffle 3 back into the deck. Fortunately, our opponent Ash Blossom's here, so we won't have to worry about that for the rest of the turn. Anyway, we link into a link 4 Beetrooper, Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas, and our opponent, and activate Resonance Insect. Our opponent activates Nibiru. This is good because it allows me to basically play through everything else my opponent has. Now, if you think this is where Beetroopers stop, you would be dead wrong. So first I banish Resonance and Gadala to special Doomdozer. I use Resonance to send Gokipole and then search Retaliating Sea from deck to hand. I use the effect of Armor Horn by banishing 3 to special summon it. I link the Armor Horn and Doomdozer away into a Seraphim Papillion, which gets 2 counters since it used 2 insects. Normal summon Retaliating Sea, link the Primal Being token away into a copy of Link Spider. Then, I link the Retaliating Sea and the Link Spider away into a copy of Predaplant Verte Anaconda. Now this is where the stupid part of the deck comes in. With Retaliating Sea, I add from deck to hand Maxx. I use Verte Anaconda's effect, Fusion Summoning Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. And then I activate DP's effect, destroying itself in Nibiru, so they can't just go to the battle phase and attack over DP with Nibiru. With that, I'll set Fly and Sting and pass my turn. My opponent draws. I'll use Seraphim Papillion to special summon back Beetrooper Scale Bomber. DP's effect to special summon back DP. Then during the main phase, my opponent uses Imperm on my DP. I'll chain DP, intending to get some stuff off the field, but my opponent then chains Forbidden Droplet, sending the Imperm to negate the Beetrooper Scale Bomber, as opposed to the DP. Well, I suppose it makes sense. I use DP's effect to destroy itself in the Imperm, then Imperm resolves, DP effect Engrave activates. Then, they normal summon Sengan and link into Almirage. Using the Sengan effect, they add from deck to hand Arborea. On resolution, I'll use Maxx. I'll leave them thinking they have a chance. They link Salamangreat, Almirage, and Arborea into Halka Fibrax. They'll use Halka Fibrax's effect, summoning from deck Jet Synchron. I leave them be. Then they use Halka Fibrax and Jet Synchron to make Auroradon. In response to Auroradon's effect, I will chain Beetrooper Fly and Sting. It destroys the Auroradon. And my opponent, realizing they're out of their depth here, decides to concede, leaving me with the victory with Beetroopers. As you can see, this deck really does pack a punch. Okay, now that the game is done with, let's talk over the deck a bit and discuss where it fits in the meta. Obviously, this deck is really, really good, and as a totally new contender, it stands to take a lot of players off guard. The ability to search Maxx is genuinely frightening, and Retaliating Sea is a genuinely good card even without that extra effect, being able to fight off Rite of Aramesia admirably. The Battle Wasps are all good. Sting is insane, being a quick negate by attributing a card, and Arbalest just lets you revive any monster for a free Link 2, which can give you two of the strongest Link 2s in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Insecta Picafolina and Beetrooper Arnahorn. Meanwhile, the deck's ability to pivot and easily go into Predaprant Verte Anaconda is really strong too. It's probably one of the decks that can utilize Destiny, Hero Destroyer, Phoenix, and Enforcer the easiest. And as everyone knows, DP is absolutely insane. It can also play through a lot of hand traps, like a lot of hand traps. Despite that, the deck does have a couple of weaknesses, and trapping it at the correct time will definitely make the deck fold, and it's not necessarily the best at playing through established boards. Flawonderies is especially a problem for Beetrooper because of the whole wind special summon lock thing. There are ways you can still mitigate this, like playing cards that counterflow such as Twin Twisters and Gadala. However, it's still a big problem. Even so, despite that, I think that the addition of being able to consistently search Maxx will make a Beetroopers a very big meta contender in the upcoming, as in right now, Duelist Cup. Speaking of the Duelist Cup, good luck. I hope everyone does their best there, because I will be aiming for the top. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my Beetrooper deck profile. Otsukaminari! Hi Aiko! I'm Aiko Yakumo, a lightning spirit virtual YouTuber girl. Thank you for watching my video, I hope you enjoyed it a lot. If you want to catch more of my content, I stream every day except Friday on my YouTube channel at 9 or 10 PM Eastern, or 11 or 12 AEST AM. So come subscribe if you want to see more Master Duel content or just variety content in general. You can also follow me on my Twitter and join my Discord if you want to support me. Thanks for watching once again, and I hope you have a brilliant day.